Welcome back, everybody, to the Word Around the Ring podcast. My name is Big Rob. I'll let my tag team partner reintroduce himself.
I'm King Jess, and we're the only podcast more absent than Cody Rhodes after Mania. Backlash has come and gone so quick that if you blinked, you might have missed it. But did it live up to the hype? That's what we're here to discuss. So, Rob, what's been the word around the ring?
Backlash just ended this weekend. I personally will say I was sports entertained. It was an interesting card on paper. On paper, we had Jacob Fatu versus LA Knight versus Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre for the United States Championship. We also had Dominic Mysterio versus Penta for the Intercontinental Championship. Lyra Valkyria versus Becky Lynch for the Women's Intercontinental. Gunther versus Pat McAfee, and of course the main event, John Cena versus Randy Orton for the WWE Championship. All around, on paper, looked like a solid card for the St. Louis crowd and the fans who were lucky enough to be in the arena. The first match that started, though, of course, was that Jacob Fatu match, LA Knight, Damian Priest, and Drew McIntyre. So a star-studded match to say the least. I was really looking forward to this match. I thought it may have been saved for second to last, but I guess they wanted to start the show off with a bang, and I think they did just that with these four men here in the ring. This was a very fun, entertaining match. We got a couple of surprises. Well, one big surprise, one major surprise that you, in particular, I know a few weeks ago you were excited about this, even leading up to WrestleMania. You were predicting that this certain individual might make an appearance then, but they saved it for Backlash. But the match, all in all, altogether, I really did enjoy this as the first match of the night, the opening match. A great showing between, of course, Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest. We knew that this feud between those two individuals would continue throughout this match, and it did, and it culminated in a South of Heaven chokeslam on the outside of the ring from Damian Priest onto Drew McIntyre. They did this outside in close to the fans in the arena for section 100s. Did it was a high spot, so Drew and Damian were elevated. Uh, Damian Priest hit the South of Heaven on Drew, and it was a crazy spot. It was a crazy spot. They were like 10, 15 feet in the air when this happened. And in the moment when I saw Drew take this bump, it seemed like Drew's head hit the concrete. It was a pretty bad hit. At least when I was watching on TV, I think I texted some of my friends. So shit, I looked bad. I was a little nervous. He was holding his head after that move in particular. So I hope he's okay. I hope he's doing all right. That was one of the big spots in this match here. And then, of course, we got the Jacob Fatu LA Knight. They've been going back and forth for the last couple of weeks and months. LA Knight stuck in this bloodline vortex. He can't seem to get out of the bloodline vortex, and it seems like it's going to continue because the way this match ended here, Jacob Fatu and LA Knight were on the outside of the ring. I believe LA Knight was banging Jacob Fatu's head on the announce table when he was setting him up to put him through the announce table, but Solo Sokoa showed up and pulled him out of the ring, off of the table, and that's when LA Knight went outside, tried to fight Solo, ask him what he was doing there, interfering with one of his matches again. But when he went to attack Solo, we were surprised with another hooded individual. And of course, this was a new superstar that they were introducing to us, known as Jeff Cobb. I am not too familiar with his game. I know you might be a little bit more familiar than I am. You sent me some highlights. I know you must be looking forward to seeing what the WWE does with him. But Jeff has now arrived to the WWE. He ended up hitting LA Knight, clotheslined him, sent him into the ring for Jacob Fatu to finish the story or to finish the match. Jacob hit the running hip attack and then he hit his moonsault for the pin and the victory. But what was most interesting about this interaction here was that it didn't seem like Jacob was on board with the introduction of Jeff Cobb, with Jeff Cobb and Solo Sikoa interfering in his match and helping him take the W, even though he did walk away and still, as the United States champion, it didn't seem like Jacob Fatu was the most grateful individual in that moment. So now we have this turmoil between Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu. this new individual, Jeff Cobb. Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa are still out of the picture at this moment due to injuries. I'm sure they'll be back soon. So just a lot going on in this match. Wanted to get your thoughts on this match altogether overall, and then we can just jump into the nitty gritty with Jeff Cobb arriving to the WWE and what you may be looking forward to in that arrival. But overall, what were your first thoughts on this match here and it being the opener for this year's Backlash?
Yeah, I thought this match was solid. I feel like this was a match where people were just settling beefs. It kind of even seemed to a certain extent that Priest and Drew weren't even worried about, winning the title. They were more worried about getting revenge or even, just hurting each other. And it seems like Damian Priest won that, exchange or that challenge because he seemed to stand on top of Drew, but he didn't win the match at the end of the night. So it kind of seemed like those two were just out for revenge more than chasing the title. The title match really was between Jacob Fatu and LA Knight, and overall, like I said, the match was good. I feel like even splitting them up to and having two face each other over here and two face each other over there, I think it still provided a really good match. But the big factor here is how the match ended. You brought it up yourself. Solo came in and he helped Jacob, and we thought that that's what was gonna be the factor that won him this match. But it seems like Solo has other plans, and he finally brought in someone that, like you said, I've been hyped for a while. This kid, he's not even kid, this guy, he's amazing. He definitely has the record to back it up. He's been running New Japan like a motherfucker. He did a Lucha Underground for a while as one of their most like unstoppable superstars that they had down there for a while. So it's very exciting to see that Jeff Cobb finally is here. It wasn't really the way that I thought it was gonna happen, but that's okay because I feel like this might be the catalyst that finally splits up Solo's bloodline per se, which is fine because I feel like you don't need to pigeonhole Jacob into a faction when you can have him rise as a star all on his own. And I think that's kind of where we're going. I know that there's a little bit of a rumor that says that Jeff Cobb might be the one to take off that belt off of Jacob. I don't know if
Fuck
that's
no.
I don't know if that's the right move personally, especially this soon. Jacob just got that belt, and he's really is running the gambit. He's been carrying half of these shows, with his storylines alone. So I don't think that there's any need for them to take off the belt and put it on Jeff Cobb. Especially not that I feel like Jeff Cobb is a bigger guy and he can go for a bigger belt. I know that the big belt contention right now is pretty stacked, but he is one of those bigger guys that later on down the road can face for a bigger belt. So I'm excited to see what happens with him in the future. Right now, it's just a little too soon. I feel like they're just gonna have him, attacking people and shit like that. But it does present itself as a big problem for Jacob if that's the way that they're gonna go for. Overall, I'd say I give this match, just based off of the people that were in it and the fact that, like you said, I got entertained by it. I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5 stars.
Yeah, this was a really fun match. I enjoyed this. I think you just got me a little bit excited because I'm a big fan of Jacob Fatu. If this results in Jacob Fatu getting kicked out of the bloodline, if this results in him just being on his own, becoming his own single superstar, and moving away from the typical Samoan and bloodline vortex, that would be fantastic. He's a world heavyweight champion wrestler material. Like he has that in him. He will one day compete for the WWE championship as well. And if this means, we get another month or 2 months, 3 months of him holding this US belt, keeping it warm for whoever, making it a little bit more meaningful, I'm all for it if it results in Jacob Fatu going on a world title run in the very near future. I'm a big fan. You said he carries half of these shows. Nah, that motherfucker carrying every show, especially over the last 2 months on SmackDown with these 3 hour shows. Anytime I see him on TV, emoting, going crazy, cutting a promo, it just gets me excited. It gets me amped up. It allows me to refocus and enjoy the show. So I think he's been a huge star over the course of the last couple of months. And if this results, if Jeff Cobb's arrival means Jacob breaking off from the bloodline, going on and doing his own thing, That would be fantastic. I would absolutely love that for him. In terms of Jeff Cobb himself, I'm not too familiar with his game, so I did a little bit of research. I went ahead and checked out this match. It was a World Heavyweight Championship match at House of Glory. I think it took place like in 2021, 2022. It's full matches on YouTube. It's against Jonah, who is now known as Bronson Reed. So it was Jeff Cobb and Bronson Reed in this match. It's about a 20-minute heavyweight match here that I really enjoyed. I think it's good. You guys should check it out on YouTube. House of Glory Wrestling, Jeff Cobb versus Jonah. Really good match. I think you guys would enjoy it if you're not familiar with Jeff Cobb, as I was not. So I went ahead and took a look at that. So I'm excited to see where Jeff Cobb goes. You bring up the fact that you think he might be World Heavyweight Championship material. I'll have to wait and see. I think a lot of people online were making fun of his look, which I found pretty funny. People were telling that he's Mexican, Latino, and this
He's
Timu
Filipino,
bloodline
by the
character.
way. He's
I
Filipino. He's
think he's
not
from
even
Guam.
Samoan.
I don't know if he's Filipino. I think he's Hawaiian.
No, he is
But
Filipino.
he's not. Yeah, he's definitely not Samoan. Yeah, yeah, he's
He's
definitely not
Filipino.
part of
We
that
we
bloodline.
searched it up because
Okay.
my buddy Chow told me, he's like, the funny thing is that they're roping him in with the Samoans, but he's actually Filipino. I was like, what the fuck? So I searched it up. He is Filipino, in fact.
No, that makes sense. He looks it. He don't really look Samoan, but I wasn't. I'm not gonna tell that motherfucker he don't look Samoan. He gonna beat my ass. But all in all, I think it's the bloodline needed a little bit of a shot in the arm. I think the bloodline story needed a little bit of a shot in the arm outside of Jacob Fatu. 'Cause I feel like we've seen Solo Sikoa kind of fade back into obscurity over the course of the last couple months, especially following that loss against Roman on the debut episode of Raw on Netflix. I think ever since then his stock has been driven down a little bit, or not even a little bit, quite a lot. And so I'm excited to see where this goes. I like Solo Sikoa. I fuck with him. That's my dog. So I'm glad this kind of puts him back into an interesting picture and at least a story that will have me paying attention this week on Friday night SmackDown. But moving on to the next match, unless you have anything else that you wanted to add there.
No, I think that's pretty much it. Like I said, I feel like this is a good move. Like you said, it makes you excited because we've seen we can split the bloodline apart and they can still succeed on their own. We saw everything that Roman did this past year. He hasn't even really been in the main title contention, and he's still killing it. People still want to see what he's gonna do, and I feel like that's gonna be the exact same thing with Jacob. Once he finally splits himself from just being grouped in with the Samoans, I feel like you're really gonna see him shine on his own. Now, I would love it if he took, Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa with him and probably brought back like this God kind of tag team. But I don't think that's what's gonna happen. I feel like they will probably just stay with Solo. But I hope not. I really do hope that this becomes something that Jacob can launch himself with. And if that means bringing the twins with him and putting maybe tag belts on them, that'd be pretty cool too. But we'll have to see. Like you said, they're injured right now. We don't know what their return window is looking like. So only time will tell.
Yeah, time will tell. But yeah, that'd be interesting if they build up the Gorillas of Destiny here in the WWE again. But I know the WWE doesn't like to tap into those New Japan factions. You saw with the Bullet Club, we never got in the WWE. We've gotten some teases recently, which I'm excited about. But we'll again, that's just a waiting game. But moving on to the next match of the night, one that was a fun one as well. Dominic Mysterio versus Penta. Heading into this match, I think a lot of people thought Penta may have won it here, which kind of made sense. But I'm happy, to play spoiler. If you haven't watched it, I apologize. But of course, Dominic Mysterio does win this match with the help of a few players outside of the typical Judgment Day, which was interesting. But speaking of this match itself, there was a few high spots and a few great moments here. Especially I think it was a diving Hurricane Rana from Dominic Mysterio from the inside of the ring to the outside, which was fantastic. I thought it was great. But Dominic had a blast out here. I thought it was a great showing for him. Penta, listen, listen. That brother, if Ray Phoenix had Penta's aura, or if Ray Phoenix had Penta's fucking Taylor, Ray Phoenix untouchable. Because I really do believe Ray Phoenix is like not a lot better, but he's significantly better than his brother in ring. I don't know. You might disagree with me. It's just a personal opinion. I fuck with Ray Phoenix. His moves are great. I really do enjoy watching him. His matches are interesting. He's fun to watch. He's a high flyer. The moonsault from the ring post always fantastic on the outside of the ring. I fuck with Ray Phoenix, but we're not even talking about him. We're talking about his brother. But if his brother would just send him his tailor, like, you guys are brothers. I don't get it. Ray hasn't came out with no new masks, and I think Rey Mysterio has spoiled us over the course of his 30-year career. He's always come in wearing a new mask, some new gears, at least every 2 weeks. He's kept he has always been a fresh individual, and so I feel like he set a high standard. And I'm a little disappointed in Ray Phoenix. I haven't seen a new gear yet. He's been wearing the same orange shit. But anyways, let me get back to the point. We're talking about Dominic and Penta. So this match here was an interesting one. Of course, Judgment Day is going to play a role. They're always going to come out to help their boy Dominic Mysterio. But towards the end of this match, when Judgment Day did arrive and they did interfere, there was a moment here where JD McDonough was holding down Penta so Finn Balor could punch him while Dominic was recovering. But Finn Balor hesitated. He said, "Hold up, JD, let me go get a chair." While he went to go get a chair, Penta was able to break away, fight back, and sort of even the playing field. And it almost got to the point where Penta had just hit his finisher, if I'm not mistaken, or he was going for a move off the top rope. And that's when we got a big surprise in El Grande Americano. He had showed up. He was under the ring the whole time, and he was there to play spoiler for the luchador Penta. So he throws him off of the he hits him with his head, but actually with the steel plates hidden in his mask, giving Dominic the opportunity to hit his frog splash and win the match. So all in all, it seemed like, there was a moment there when Finn Balor sort of hesitated to help his buddy Dominic Mysterio, and we've seen this jealousy from Finn Balor over the course of the last few weeks, with the Intercontinental Championship being won by Dominic Mysterio, because Finn feels like it was his championship to be won at WrestleMania, but then Dom stole it from him, hitting that frog splash. But so we see this turmoil between the Judgment Day in this match playing itself out already, which is interesting. But what did you think about this match here and El Grande Americano's interference? We haven't seen Dominic and El Grande Americano on television together, I don't believe, in any backstage segments or anything along those lines. So this is a pretty interesting turn. I am excited about one thing, and I'm glad that El Grande Americano attacked Penta, because I think that's going to lead into something that you're not going to like. But I am excited for it. I want to hear your thoughts on this match altogether. What did you think of Finn Balor's interference here? Did you think that hesitation was on purpose? Did you think he's sort of trying to cost his stablemate the championship so he can have an opportunity at it? Or what are your thoughts overall on this match?
I definitely think Finn has something cooking. What it is, I'm not sure. I know there's been a lot of rumors and stuff of maybe Finn splitting off and starting his own faction with a couple people, but again, it's something that we're just gonna have to wait and see. And we're getting little glimpses of it, backstage with people talking. I think there was even like a segment where in the background you could see Roxanne talking to Finn. Like, we see these little teases of Finn starting to brew something up, and if we know Finn the way we know Finn, he definitely is cooking something up, and it's probably going to be something big, because when he does these things within the company, it's normally something impactful, something that's going to change, like when he joined the Judgment Day and stuff like that. So it's exciting to see what's been rolling out. Like I said, I don't know what's going to happen. I do think that the hesitation was on purpose. I feel like they're just teasing more and more for this breakup, and it gets me excited because, again, I think Dom is another one, just like Fatu, that now with the belt, if you split him up and you just let him go solo, I feel like he can run the gambit. I feel like he could really make a name for himself. And it's not even can he make a name for himself. He really is already making a name for himself, because anytime anyone interviews a wrestler or a superstar and they go like, who do you think is the future of this business? Most times, I would say 4 out of 5 times, they say Dom, and I'm starting to see it. I You and me have been big Dom fans ever since, you know, he started getting this massive amount of heat when people weren't even fucking with him. You and me were, because we saw the potential that was coming from him. And I'm glad that now the WWE universe is seeing that same potential, because they are behind him no matter what. Yeah, they still come out there, they still boo him, but when he wins, that crowd fucking pops like a motherfucker. So both of these guys on this match came out, they showed out. I get where you're coming from with the Penta stuff. I do think that their styles are very different. It is something that I told you right off the back. I think that Penta is more of a strategic, hard hitting type of wrestler, whereas Phoenix is a lot quicker and a lot more of that spot monkey show. But that's why they work so well together. And I know that's what you're going to bring up, the fact that, you know, eventually these two are going to be put together. And I could see it coming, you know, like before I couldn't. Before Penta was hot, you know, Ray Phoenix had just come in, he was doing his own thing. I didn't see them doing it anytime soon. But now, after this match and the stuff that's been going on with the Americano, I don't see Dom
Mm.
and Penta going on much further. So if they want to start making the moves to start, you know, bringing back the Lucha Bros together, that's fine. We kind of already knew that they were going to do that anyways, because of how, you know, Triple H is presenting the tag division. But at the end of the day, I still think Penta is my favorite of the two. You know, Ray Phoenix is a class act. He does go out there and kill it. But in this match, I do think that Dom and Penta just showed out completely. You know, is it over for him? Is Penta Dom over? Like I said, I think it is, just because we're moving forward. It seems like Americano's still involving himself with any kind of luchador, and I love that shit. I love that it's not over with the Americano. I love that this should have been a gimmick that probably lasted about 2 to 3 weeks, but because of the fan appreciation that's been getting, they've kept it going. And I like that, because we're getting so close to Worlds Collide, and I really hope that they use them for that show. That being said, I think I give this match again another 4 out of 5 stars. I was thoroughly entertained. Dom is a rising star, and Penta is too. And these two will meet later on down the future. I would imagine, whether that be in a tag team or even for a bigger belt. But these two are definitely going to be big players in the near future.
And Dom's been killing it. I remember you motherfuckers, you wanted Penta to win at WrestleMania. I said no, Dom's gonna win. This shit's gonna be amazing, and it happened, and it was incredible. He's been on a run. The thing about Dominic, I think the why people and wrestling fans love him so much and have turned a corner on him is because he's really the only guy that has stayed in full character outside of being on TV. When he goes off and he does his own interviews, when he's doing media runs. Like he is always Dirty Dom. It's fucking great. He's always playing a heel. He's always talking shit about other wrestlers. He's hilarious. Like he turned that the Cero Miedo into Bien Pendejo. That was fucking comedy. So like he's great, and I think that natural charisma, on his behalf, it just works so well and it does wonders for him. And it has done wonders over the course of the last few months. And I think people are really are really starting to set in and enjoy what he's doing. And he just gets it. And like you said, there's been a lot of praise for him with amongst the locker room. John Cena has outright said a few times that Dominic is the future, that he gets it. He understands the wrestling to the for an individual his age. He is so mature when it comes to the aspects of wrestling and controlling the crowd and things of that nature. So he's gotten high praise from individuals like Cena, Paul Heyman, etc. And I'm excited to see how it continues to play out. I know that this Judgment Day feud, at some point, it's going to boil over. I hope that point is sooner rather than later, because I feel like the Judgment Day stuff is kind of burnt out already. Like we've got into its wits end, and it's still there. I think Finn Balor. I think as a Finn Balor fan, I need it to end because I need something different from my dog. I think what he's doing is enjoyable, yes, but I do want to see him win. I do want to see him win a few matches on Monday nights. I want to see him compete for a title, a meaningful title, maybe have another title run, because he's fantastic. So I would love that for Finn. You brought it up. Worlds Collide is coming up. We'll see what we get out of that. I'm sure we're gonna get a Dominic will definitely be there. Maybe he'll be a part of a tag match. Dominic and Chad Gable, or El Grande Americano versus Ray Phoenix and Penta. I can see that happening. That would be a great match for Worlds Collide, in my opinion. I think that would be really interesting. Gives you an opportunity to showcase these two brothers as a tag team, which I've been yearning for since the day Ray Phoenix has gotten there. So I'm excited to see that, and it's gonna be fun. I really enjoyed this match in terms of 5 stars. You said four, maybe a 3.75, a 3.5. But this did end with an interference and an assist from El Grande Americano, very similar to an assist from that first match as well. So now we have two matches on this Backlash card that ended in a run-in or some fuckery going on. So two out of the five so far. But I did get ahead of myself here because we did skip a match in a match that I thoroughly enjoyed. I was very impressed. I want to hear your thoughts on this because I know you have some strong feelings, some strong sentiments towards one of these two superstars here. But the Women's Intercontinental Championship match, Lyra Valkyria versus Becky Lynch. This was a technical match to say the least. Both of these women showcased their best of their abilities over the course of like 20 minutes. Becky hit like three or four manhandle slams on my girl Lyra, but Lyra kicked out. She wasn't dying. She wasn't gonna go out sad. I was nervous heading into this match. I really thought this was gonna be, a Becky Hogan moment here where she comes back to win a championship. But that wasn't the case. Lyra was she wasn't dominant, but she persevered throughout this match. So much so that there were a ton of moments where Becky's frustration got the best of her. She couldn't believe that Lyra was just eating her manhandle slams, eating her any move that she threw at her. And Lyra fought back. This ended in an interesting way. It did end in a roll up on behalf of Lyra Valkyria, and then once that roll up happened, Becky lost control. She absolutely mauled Lyra in the middle of the ring after the match was over. There was a spot in this match as well, where Lyra hurt her nose. It seemed like she had broken her nose, and so she held on to her nose maybe with like 5 or 6 minutes left into this match here. She couldn't let go. It felt like it had separated from her face. If you go back and watch this match, it looked pretty gruesome. I hope she's okay. I don't think they've reported anything just yet. So that prayers to Lyra. I thought this was a great showing for her. I'm really happy that they decided to have Lyra win here. And we'll see where the story goes with Becky Lynch. But I know you're a big fan of Becky. You were excited, fucking going off the walls when she returned at WrestleMania. You couldn't wait. So I want to hear your thoughts on this match and how you're feeling about Becky taking a loss here. And where we go from now for Becky. Does she have anything any upcoming feuds that you would like to see, anything along those lines? But overall thoughts on this match, did you enjoy it, and how did you feel about your girl Becky taking the L here?
I would like to see her go home, to be honest. I think it goes without saying that I have no love for Becky, but I did watch this match this time though, which was a shocker to me. But I think I just watched it because of Lyra. Like I said, Lyra has been killing it. She's really won me over. If you go a couple months back, I was shit talking the fuck out of Bird Girl, but she really has won me over. So I wanted to see what she could do in this match, especially going up against someone that is so quote unquote decorated as a Becky Lynch. And I gotta say, she showed out, and at the end of the day, the right person won. Becky had no business winning this belt. I don't see why we would have Becky Hogan her. I don't know why we Becky Hogan her at Mania. It was stupid. We should have never took that belt off of Raquel and Liv, but whatever. So I was just glad that she didn't win this belt. She has continued to show up on TV. Becky has, and she's been giving these god awful fucking promos. So, like I said, I really rather she just not, like, I whatever run she has going on right now, I hope it stops soon, because it kind of seems like we're in this weird stage where they want all the old heads going heel, and for some it works and for some it fucking doesn't. And this one, honestly, I could care two shits about Becky, face or heel. So I'm not really enjoying this. This match was good. I will only give it 3 out of 5 stars just because I think Lyra carried this whole match. She was definitely the one showing out a lot more. I think Becky was just hitting, the big hits and doing a horrible job at acting and selling. So 3 out of 5 stars on this one. I want to see Lara move on. I want to see Lara face other people. I don't think that the story between her and Becky is that compelling, so I really need this shit to end soon. But as for Becky, who do I want to see her go next? I don't know. Make her go up against someone that's gonna make it worth it. That's gonna make me get interested. Because if it's just gonna be Becky doing these dumbass promos that really make no fucking sense, then I'd rather not watch it. I'd rather just not have her on my TV screen if it's gonna be that.
That's interesting that you say that. I hear you, but I feel like I've turned a corner on this heel turn on Becky's behalf, especially over this last week on Monday Night Raw, following this match at Backlash, because she made a claim. She said, it doesn't make sense. We got fans over here cheering for the CM Punks of the world, for these old men, but me, I come back. I'm trying to win gold. What the fuck's the point of me coming back, just to put a bitch over? No, I should win gold too, and it's fair, and it's fair. I would say, nah, she has a point. And I don't know. I hear you on the promos prior to this. It almost felt like she was having the cadence of a babyface, because she's been a babyface for so long. So the promos weren't hitting as much. But this time around on Monday when she showed up, it felt like it finally clicked for her, in terms of how to control the crowd as a heel, and the cadence of a heel. And I don't know. I really enjoyed it. I thought I left feeling a lot more intrigued, in terms of what she's gonna do beyond this, because she's been attacking Bailey a lot online. I can imagine that the SummerSlam match that we're headed to is Bailey versus Becky Lynch, or a Saturday Night's Main Event, or a Money in the Bank match. I can imagine that that's how we're gonna end up having this feud between Becky and Bailey. Both of them need it. And I think it'll be interesting. But I don't know. I'm enjoying what I'm seeing so far from Becky. I'm not too mad at it. There are some plot holes. I would have waited personally to turn her heel, instead of doing it like the fucking night after she returned. I thought that was a little fucking just rush on their behalf, but whatever. We're here and we can't do anything about that. So I think we're gonna get Becky versus Bailey very soon. In terms of Lyra, what happens next? We'll see who she faces. It's mid card women's on Raw. I don't know who the fuck else is left. They just got rid of Dakota Kai. Unless they bring back like a Kairi Sane. We already got an Ivy Nile and Lyra, if I'm not mistaken. We'll just have to wait and see. Hopefully she's okay though with this nose injury that we saw during this match. But I'm looking forward to what Becky has in store. As a fan, I'm intrigued. Um, but moving on to a match that I'm not too happy about. A match that kind of pissed me off. And a match I have some feelings towards, because I really do rock with Gunther. I really do. I think we had this individual, this character in the WWE, that's just a menace, just an individual who's all about business. And one, of course, who is the ring general. All his whole gimmick is wrestling, just being a pure wrestler and being great at his job and keeping the mat sacred. That's his whole shtick, right? And so we get this match, Gunther versus Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee, of course, is the commentator on Monday Night Raw. He's defending the honor of Michael Cole, because Michael Cole isn't strong enough to defend himself against the likes of a Gunther. But of course, Pat McAfee, he's an ex-professional football player. And I say football player loosely because he was a punt kicker, but still, he was in the NFL. Respect. I have to give the man he was a professional athlete. But motherfucker, he's not Gunther and he's not a wrestler. And so we get this match, and it's the second to last fucking match. And I'm like, all right, bro, let's give this motherfucker like 4 minutes, 5 minutes. And I didn't even think this we were gonna get a match. I genuinely did not think we were gonna get a match. What I thought was gonna happen was Pat McAfee was gonna pull something out of his ass and have someone like Goldberg come back, help him out, something along those lines. That's where I thought we were headed. Because I genuinely didn't think they were gonna get a match out of Pat McAfee versus Gunther. I didn't think that's what was gonna happen. Maybe I'm stupid, maybe I'm dumb, but I just didn't think that was gonna be the case. But we end up getting this like 10 to 12 minute match. And Listen, for the most part, Gunther probably 70% of this offense. 70%, 75%. But even still, 75% to 25% of this is crazy. It's crazy. This should have been a mauling. This should have been this should have been Gunther damn near committing murder. There should have been security guards coming out to pull Gunther off of Pat McAfee, and this was not the case. There were moments in this match where Pat was fighting back. Pat was able to put Gunther in submission holds. He put him in his fucking rear naked chokehold, and I was nervous. I was nervous. I said, no, there's no way Gunther's gonna sit here and tap to this motherfucker, and I would have been sick. But thank God Gunther reversed it. Thank the Lord Jesus Christ. But this match went way too long for my liking. Way too fucking long for my liking. There was a point in this match too where Gunther was whipping his ass, or he had Pat McAfee in the sharpshooter, and Michael Cole had gotten up. He was cheering for his friend. He said, "Come on, come on!" He's trying to pull him to the ropes. And Michael Cole even tried to cheat and hold Gunther down while Pat McAfee pinned him, and that shit was crazy. I said, "Bro, there's no way we let this shit slide." But Gunther was too strong. Gunther was too great, and he still figured it out. He ended up putting Pat McAfee in a chokehold, and Pat McAfee passed out, and that was that. And then after the match was over, Gunther for the last couple of weeks, he's been fucking mauling these commentators. He's been attacking them, getting all up in their face. After the match was over, these guys awkwardly stand in the middle of the ring. All three of them, Gunther, Pat, and Michael Cole. All three of them are standing in the middle of the ring, figuring out, what the fuck is going on. They're kind of staring at each other. They're kind of confused at what the fuck they got to say or if they're going to say anything. Gunther just standing and staring. Michael Cole is looking down at his friend, making sure he's okay, staring back at Gunther. And then it's sort of a bit of a sign of respect where Gunther kind of nods his head at the two men and he walks off. And it was just, in my opinion, it was just unnecessary. This match was unnecessary altogether. I don't understand it. I don't understand where we go from here. If I'm Gunther, yes, it's been announced that he gets his rematch against Jey Uso, whatever the fuck. But like, why did we need to have this match? Why was this a match that needed to happen? Who benefited from this match? Who? I'd like to ask you this question first. Who benefited from this match?
Nobody. That's my problem with this match is that I feel like, look, back in the day we used to hear all these horror stories of like if you fucked up in the back, you were punished. You were put in these stupid feuds or you were put in a gimmick match, to punish you for something you did backstage. And that was like one of the first things that came to mind. I think I even texted you about it. I was like, what did our boy do to deserve this? Because this should have never happened.
It should have never fucking happened. It was absolutely ridiculous. And the only motherfucker that benefited from it, if anybody, was Pat McAfee. And for what? For what? Why are we putting Pat McAfee in a match against Gunther, the ring general? It just doesn't make any sense to me. It does not. Um, I really thought this was gonna set up like a Goldberg thing. He was coming back, and I thought that was gonna be the case. I was gonna be upset about that too. Regardless, I was gonna be complaining. Regardless, this was gonna get a complaint out of me. But I just can't believe this match went as long as it did. This should have really been a squash. It really should have been a squash. It really should have been a squash. It really should have been a fucking squash, and it wasn't. And I don't know. I don't know what Pat McAfee has on Triple H, on WWE, on Nick Khan. I do not know, but he has something. Because this is, I don't get it. I don't get it. And then the craziest part, another crazy part about this is that, you know, Gunther did it. It wasn't like, listen, I'm bitching and complaining, but Gunther, he beat the shit out of Pat. Like Pat took a little bit of a beating. So props to him for that part. But even so, McAfee showed up to work on Monday. He was at that episode of Monday Night Raw commentating. Like, he should have been at home selling this injury, selling this ass whooping. And he did not do that. I didn't like that either. I did not appreciate that. I just think this shit makes Gunther look weak for zero reason. There's absolutely no reason to have him look weak. The motherfucker already just lost to the sorriest wrestler on the roster. To the sorriest wrestler on the roster, he just lost to him at WrestleMania to his own move. And then he has to go face a commentator the following pay-per-view, give that guy a 10, 15-minute match. Like, I don't get what did Gunther do? If I maybe I'm misunderstood. Maybe Maybe Gunther did something to somebody, but I am confused. I didn't enjoy this at all. I'm lying. I was sports entertained. But after I sat with it, I thought about it, I got upset, started asking myself questions, started asking my boy Will a few questions. We started to chat about it. We said, you know what, we're upset. And so I don't know, man. I don't know. This shit really got me tight though. I'm sick of this shit. They're disrespecting Gunther. And then I can't even be excited about the rematch that he finna get against Jay. I can't even be excited about that because I just know he finna get some bullshit. I just
Mm.
know he about to get some bullshit, and it's gonna piss me off. But I ranted. I said what I had to say about this match. Do you have anything else you have to add? Any high spots in this match that you thoroughly enjoyed,
High
and
spots.
anything in particular that you took away from this match here? But just get me away. Just get me away. I just need some room for going.
um, like I said, this should have never happened. But I gotta be honest, it could have been a lot worse. This wasn't as horrible as I thought it was gonna be. I was under the same assumption as you. I thought that Gunther was gonna come out there and was gonna give us like a 3 minute match, just a fucking straight ass whooping to Pat. But then again, if you look at what they were doing for Pat, this kind of seemed like you said, the only person that benefited from this was Pat because not only did they show us, on social media and stuff like that, how long he's been a fan, that he's been in the front row of Raw since he was playing for the Colts, and that he's always been involved with the business and somehow. I think even last week's episode before the pay per view, last week's episode of Stephanie Places was about Pat McAfee. So they were doing something, they were building him up, trying to make him seem like the fan that was going to finally live out his dream, and he did. He lived out his dream, and sadly it was against someone that we respect as much as Gunther, but he did it. And overall, Pat did his best, and that's still somehow better than most people in AEW. So just because of the fact that this match should have never happened, I'm gonna give it a three
No, that was
stars.
crazy.
I'm gonna give it 3 stars. I'm gonna say that this is a neutral. I don't hate it. I don't love it. I feel like they went out there, they did something, and like you said, I wasn't bored. I was sports entertained. So for that, I'm just gonna give it 3 stars. I congratulate Pat. He didn't go out there and make himself look like a fucking idiot. But if this needs to end, like they did the storyline where it's commentators getting their shit beat out of them because they were talking shit. We did it. We don't have to do this again. I don't need to see a Corey Graves or a Wade Barrett or anything come back as a commentator to do a match with anyone. I don't need to see a Michael Cole as a coal miner come in and wrestle anyone. Like that's not what I need to see. We did it with Pat. He did it the best any of the commentators are going to do. Let's leave it at that. Um, as for Gunther, again, I don't know if we're still going by these rules, if he's being punished for something he did. But I hope this was the punishment if that's the case, and we move on because Gunther really is that kind of superstar that deserves to be, in a main title contention. If not a main title contention, in a main storyline, interaction. And having him face Pat just made absolutely no fucking sense. Now, you said it yourself, he announced on Monday Night Raw that he will be the opponent for whoever wins out of Jay and Logan. And sadly, it's gonna be fucking Jay and Gunther again. And that makes me worried because Gunther should win. Gunther should beat the shit out of him because he's already done it 3 other times. But I have a feeling that they're just gonna keep picking Jay over on this shit, and we're gonna get the Jay show for a lot longer than we should.
I don't think so. I'm hopeful that we're not gonna get Jay for much longer. Like as the champion, we've seen Jay have interactions already with Sammy, CM Punk, Seth, and Braun Breaker. So I'm fucking with that. I can see Braun and Seth costing Jay his title. I don't know if that's gonna happen at Saturday night's main event or if it's gonna happen on that episode of Raw where Gunther faces the winner of that match. Um, but I'm intrigued. I hope that we get that belt off of him soon. Give him another defense. Give him another defense or two, and then we can say he had his fun with the 2 3 months. We can say he had a little run. And you put that bitch back on someone it belongs on. But I think the end goal here, the end goal clearly in this moment in time, the end goal for the World Heavyweight Championship is to put it back, not on Gunther, but to put it back on Seth Rollins. Somehow, some way, we're gonna get there. If we get there at SummerSlam, I don't know. If it's Seth versus Jey Uso, maybe. If it's Seth versus Gunther, I don't. It's probably gonna be Seth versus Jey. So unfortunately for Gunther, unfortunately for him, probably not gonna win this match. Logan's probably not gonna win this match either. You're probably right. Now that I'm thinking about it, you're probably right. But I think the end goal for the belt is having it and putting it back on Seth sooner rather than later, especially because we're doing this story where Paul Heyman and Braun are taking over, Monday Night Raw taking over the WWE. So he needs the championship. That is the goal. That is why he aligned himself with Paul, so he can be the absolute best. So somehow, some way, we're gonna get there. Um, but again, I'm glad this match is over. Let's move on. We'll see who Gunther faces in the 1% chance that it's Logan Paul. That would be interesting. I'd like to see that match take place. If in the 99% that he faces again, Jey Uso for the would be like the fourth or fifth time. Um, Probably gonna end in some fuckery too. But I'm glad this match ended with Gunther choking out Pat McAfee. It's over and done with. It's over and done. But now we move on to the main event. You know, John Cena versus Randy Orton for the WWE Undisputed Championship. The last real champion, the GOAT of all GOATs, John Cena, versus the hometown hero, the Viper, Randy Orton. Heading into this match, I wasn't as excited as I felt as I should have. I was a little underwhelmed. I felt like the culmination of and John Cena would have been a little bit more meaningful. I don't know if maybe I'm being picky. Maybe I'm tripping. But I just didn't feel like this buildup did their feud and their 20-year career and basically their 20-year feud justice. The buildup that is at least. So I was heading into Backlash, with a little bit of a chip on my shoulder. Because I've watched these two guys go back and forth, trade championships against each other over the course of my childhood. And even heading into this match, John Cena was cutting promos, telling the fans, "Hey, this is it. This is where your childhood dies." And one of the best lines that he said in this buildup, though, I will say, was for 20 years, you've had to pick him, Randy Orton, or you picked me, John Cena. And that motherfucker didn't tell a lie because there have been two sides. There have been two sides since I've been a kid, since I can remember, since I've been sitting at the lunch table talking about wrestling. And it's been you're either a Randy Orton guy or you're a Cena guy. And I know what fucking guy I am. That's John Cena. But but man, I will say I just the build up for it, it wasn't it for me. But I really enjoyed that line there. It got me going, and I felt like the fans did this build up a better justice. The TikTok edits, the videos that they posted online, I feel like those did that shit more justice than the WWE did. But anyway, let's get to the fucking match. John Cena and Randy Orton in St. Louis. I was nervous because we just saw what happened with Cody Rhodes. I didn't even really want to watch this shit if I'm being 100% honest with you. Said, man, if this motherfucker Travis Scott comes out, I might be done. I might be done. I might not ever watch this shit again because I was going to be sick. But we didn't get that. We actually got a 25-minute match. Maybe I'm being a little generous here. We got a fucking match between John Cena and Randy Orton that I thoroughly enjoyed. I thoroughly enjoyed this match. I was sports entertained. I was enthused. I watched this and it really felt like I was a kid again. And it made me like even talking about it now I'm smiling because it was I why wasn't this the main event of WrestleMania? This has me questioning Cody now. Why couldn't you get this out of John Cena? Because this match, in all honesty, I really enjoyed it. Maybe I'm doing a little bit too much. Maybe I'm being biased. But I really did enjoy this. This was fan fucking tastic. There were spots here when Cena was going for the five knuckle shuffle. Randy Orton, they've studied each other. They know each other's patterns. because they've been feuding for 20 years. When Cena went for the five knuckle shuffle, Randy Orton knew what the fuck was gonna happen, so he came out surprising with an RKO. We saw Randy Orton hit John Cena a few times with an FU or the AA. He even hit it on him on the outside on the announce table. John Cena taking an announce table spot in the year of 2025 when the motherfucker about to turn 50. Um, just all in all, a fun match. Of course, John Cena's a heel. We were gonna get fuckery. We were gonna get some bullshit. We were gonna get some ref involvement or just there was gonna be some cheating going on. And of course, John Cena, I believe John Cena was knocked the ref out of the way, or Randy Orton was going for a move, accidentally knocked the ref out of the way. This gave John Cena the opportunity to go outside to get his championship, use it against Randy Orton. And so they went back and forth a few times. There was about 10 minutes in this match where there was no 5 minutes in this match when there was no referee. There was 4, 5, 6 counts for both men, for John Cena and Randy Orton, but there was no referee to be found. And so it got to a point where Nick Aldis and a few other security members had gone out to the ring because they had already sent out two referees. Both of them got knocked out, so they were trying to wake them up. Randy Orton is like, "Yo, what the fuck is going on?" This spot also didn't make too much sense to me because if there's six motherfuckers, also you're Nick Aldis, you're the GM, you have overruling power. You could count this shit. Why don't you just count this shit? So that's a plot hole. He didn't count the pin. But anyways, we got five people out there trying to wake up referees. Randy Orton gets upset. Randy Orton RKO's about six motherfuckers, and he RKO's Nick Aldis again. This is important to note that he RKO'd Nick Aldis again. So he's frustrated. He was going to go for a pun kick on John Cena, but none other than R-Truth out of everybody. It was not Travis Scott. It was not Travis Scott. It was R-Truth who came out to stop Randy Orton from hitting a punt kick on his childhood hero. And that gave John Cena the opportunity to hit Randy Orton with a low blow again and the WWE title to the head. And then he was able to take the pin as the referee crawled back into the ring and counted 1, 2, 3, and it was over. Our childhood had ended right then and there. The feud that we got over the course of 20 years had ended with a shot on the nuts and a fucking hit in the head with a championship. And John Cena is still the WWE champion. Once the match was over, he grabbed the mic, he went up to the turnbuckle, he told the fans, he said, "I'm the last real champion. I told y'all motherfuckers I was gonna do it, and I did it, and I'm still the champion." And unfortunately for Randy Orton, the hometown hero, the Viper, he would go home a loser. And what I loved about this match too, what I did enjoy, was that finally John Cena felt like a heel. From the moment he walked out, he was getting booed, but of course, it was only because they were in St. Louis, which is Randy Orton's hometown. But the shit kind of finally worked because the motherfucker was a heel. For once, the fans weren't cheering him, and even then, the fans still cheered here and there because he's John Cena. But I was happy to see that from the fans. I was glad because we're gonna get the fans cheering Cena, etc. That made this a much more enjoyable experience for me as a fan in watching this match. But I've talked a lot. I love John Cena. I know you love John Cena. What were your thoughts on this match here? This 20-year feud and how it's culminated into this moment. And any thoughts, anything that you thoroughly enjoyed throughout this match as well. Any spots that you want to call out. I just want to hear you and your thoughts on this match and what might be the last face-off between John Cena and Randy Orton?
I think we're on opposite sides of the coin on this situation still, because I feel like and I get it, you're like a giant John Cena fan, I'm a giant John Cena fan, but I'm actually kind of enjoying what John Cena's doing. I've said this since the turn. I think the only thing that's been bothering me is the involvement of The Rock and Travis Scott. But other than that, I like this John Cena. You know, he's really digging into some truth of what he felt in the past, and he's really giving it to us. You know. So going into this match, I was hyped, you know, like you said, this is something that you and me have been watching since we were fucking kids, you know. I was even showing Connie some of those edits that you talked about, you know, on Instagram, where like they've just been, you know, recapping the history of these two. And even she said, man, they were babies when they started. I was like, yeah, they were young. They were, this has been going on since I was a kid. So this was a huge match for me, you know. This is, I think I even posted on Instagram the day before. I'm not ready to see them for the last time. This was gonna be, if this is the last time, this was gonna be a big match, you know. And I think that overall the match was solid. I will say that I thoroughly enjoyed the match. I think that this was way better than Cody versus John. This was it. This was gonna end in some kind of interference. I think on what you were. I don't think any of us thought it was gonna be R-Truth. But the storyline with John Truth or with R-Truth and John Cena has been intertwined for a long time, and it's only been acknowledged between the two as of recent, at least to my knowledge. So I knew that some you know, way down the road on this retirement tour, John Cena versus R-Truth is going to happen. And if this is the way that it happens, this is the most R-Truth way of getting this match. And if it happens at a Saturday night's main event, even better, you know, because some of these matches on his retirement tour, even though they can be big matches, like I really do think that John Cena versus R-Truth will be a good match because people are underestimating it so much. I feel like putting it on a Saturday night's main event just bolsters that pay per view up, you know, and it'll give a reason for the fans to watch the next one because they'll be like, shit, if I didn't watch this one and I missed that, you know, maybe I should watch the next one. So I really do have a lot of faith in the R-Truth versus Cena because, like I said, I feel like people over the years have only gotten to know R-Truth as this comedic, you know, backstage personality or even in ring personality where he's just kind of a joke wrestler. But R-Truth has been in this business for very fucking long. He is a very good wrestler, despite people not knowing that he is a very solid wrestler. And I feel like with that caveat of people thinking, you know, he's just a comedic wrestler, and John Cena seeing him as like, hey, this guy is older than me and sees me as his hero, I feel like they're gonna take all that and they're gonna give us quite a fucking show if this match actually does get made official, which I do hope, because I'd rather this match honestly happen earlier in the retirement run than later in the retirement run. But again, I have so much faith that this match is going to be good. I can be wrong. They can go out there and this can be a 5 minute match where John Cena just beats the shit out of R-Truth. But I don't think that's what's going to happen. I don't think R-Truth wins that match regardless. But I think they're going to go out there and they're going to give us one hell of a show. And I might be crazy to say this, but that might even be John Cena's best retirement match, just off of the fact that people have no faith in this match. You know, I feel like both of them will go out there and they'll give it their all. I know you probably don't like that. You're probably gonna give me some shit right now about it, but I honestly have a feeling that people are doubting this fucking match, and they're doubting R-Truth for the fact that he's been presented, of how he's been presented over the past couple of years. Some people only know R-Truth in this light, so for him to come out and give it his all against his childhood hero, I think that's what we're gonna get, and I'm excited for that. But this match during Backlash, let's get back to it. I did enjoy it. Like I said, I did enjoy it. I thought that at some point they were gonna give us that they were redoing that disqualification storyline that they did in the past with Randy, but they did end up swerving us, and John won with the pin, even after all the bullshit that happened. But I thoroughly enjoyed this match. Again, I was sports entertained, like you like saying today. I'll give this a 4 out of 5 stars. I'm excited to see if they actually do make R-Truth versus John Cena official because, like I said, I have a lot riding on that match. I think that match is going to be great.
Yeah, no, I disagree with you and the R-Truth thing. I don't. There's no way that that's going to be his best match of his retirement tour. We have CM Punk left. We have possibly Sami Zayn. We have Seth Rollins. I just don't think that's going to be the case. I hear you when it comes to like it's going to be a passionate match. Yes, this is the opportunity that R-Truth gets to face his what he says and claims to be his childhood hero or his wrestling hero. So it's going to be a fun match. I'm not saying that it's not. but I don't think it's gonna be the best match that John Cena gets out of this retirement tour. And I think a lot of people actually don't want to see this match much. I don't really mind it. I don't really give a fuck. Like you already pissed me off with the John Cena heel turn. You genuinely pissed me off, and you brought up this point. You said earlier that he's finally cutting into some truths about how he felt in the past. Yeah, this motherfucking heel turn would have made sense in the past, not right now when he's being loved and being serenaded anywhere he fucking goes. Sure, sure. Had he turned heel in 20 fucking 14 when people were booing him saying fuck you Cena, yes. Yes, that makes sense. That would have been cool to see. But not now. Not when he's a fucking babyface retiring. No, no, no. I will not okay that shit. I'm still upset about that. I think that's the just a absolutely ridiculous mistake, and it's all because of that fucking egotistical individual who decided to just blow this shit out of proportion. And I just kiss still I'm getting heated about this shit. Just doesn't make any fucking sense. And you know what? We didn't even talk about this part. All right. So match is over. Match is over, right?
Uh-huh.
All right. So now once the cameras cut, once all this shit cuts, we get a new video online a couple hours later of John Cena, you know, standing
Acting
outside of the
emotional.
ring, acting emotional while the crowd chants "Thank you, Cena." You can kind of see him get teary-eyed, looking at the championship, soaking it all in. Now, listen, listen, listen. If this is real emotion, I'm even more upset. And if it's fake, if he's acting, fuck you. I don't want that. I don't want him to turn babyface. No, no, bitch.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna
No,
happen. You
you made
keep saying
it,
it's
and
not,
it's
but
and
it's gonna
it's
happen.
dumb, and it's dumb. Even if it happens, it's dumb because you made your bed, so fucking lie in it. You can't come out here for 2 months. No, you can't come out here for 2 months and tell the fans, "Fuck you, you booed me." Hey kid, fuck you in the front row. Hey dad, fuck you. I raised your child. Hey Randy, fuck you and your family. You don't come out here and you do that and then expect motherfuckers to just turn babyface over the course of a month or 2 months or three promos. No, it doesn't make any fucking logical sense. I'm not standing for it. If you wanted him to turn heel, if you wanted to make that decision, no plan, well, motherfucker, now you got a plan. He's gonna retire heel because that is logical sense. That makes sense. And then him crying at the end, like he didn't cry. Him getting teary eyed pissed me off because, bro, that is why he should have been a babyface in the first place. Because then you get moments like that. Then you get moments like him fucking chasing a title, the fans, jumping of joy. Like it makes no fucking sense why they went this route. It does not make any sense. Imagine we would have gotten a heel Randy Orton with a championship, a babyface John Cena, Randy Orton fucking hitting out punk kicks, RKOs, etc. And John Cena out here, fighting for his fucking life, still can't get the job done at Backlash. Now we go back. Now we got to go to Money in the Bank. Now we got to go to SummerSlam. Now we got to keep cheering them on. But no, we don't get that. That's not what we get. We get this shit, and I don't even know how we got here. Now I'm all worked up. I don't even know how we fucking got here, and I just can't believe it. The motherfucker was over here teary eyed and shit. Like, ain't nobody tell you to go be a heel. No one told you to go do that dumbass shit. Fuck. Anyways, on to greener pastures. On to greener
I love
pastures.
the passion. I love the passion.
Once once this shit was over, we go to the press conference that WWE loves to have. During the press conference, John Cena interrupted Triple H's turn. He told him, "Hey, I'm gonna need you to get up off your seat. I got some things I want to say." And so he kicked Triple H out. He started to talk to the media. R-Truth jokingly comes out. He's like, "Hey, John, glad I was able to help you out." John Cena kind of, dismisses him. He's like, "Whatever, whatever. Just leave me alone." You kind of see him handling something here. Um, and they have a little bit of a back and forth, and it results in John Cena AAing R-Truth onto the press conference table in front of all the reporters. So we got that clip after the show was over. So again, it seems like we're gonna get the Saturday night main event. I don't really care. I don't mind it. It's a glorified house show. That's what they're calling it. It's a glorified house show. I don't really give a fuck. I'm gonna watch the shit. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fine. It's 2 hours. It's just a four matches. We know what we're gonna fucking get. But it's clear to me that that is where we're going. You seem to be excited about it. You said this shit gonna be probably his best match of his retirement tour. I can't believe you said that shit, but you said that shit.
I
So
did.
I'm
I'm
gonna be
sticking by it.
glued
I
to
don't
this
give a
TV.
fuck.
No, I'm glad. I'm gonna be looking at. I'm gonna hope and pray he puts on a great match. I'm intrigued. Now you got me invested. You have a lot of faith in our truth. I know what you're talking about. Our truth has been a world champion before in other promotions. I respect that. Both of these guys are a little bit on the older side, but we just saw Randy and Cena have a solid match. I'm not putting it past them. I'm intrigued. Let's see what we got. So you're looking forward to it. I'm intrigued. It'll be a fun match. Um, wins. Is there any world where our truth wins here?
No, no. This is just
Okay,
gonna be a straight solid match. Like I'm telling you, this it does nothing for R-Truth to win this match. Okay, it also does almost nothing for John Cena to win this match. But this match has been in the wings for so long that it has to happen. If this is John Cena's real last run, it has to happen at some point. Yes, I am putting a lot of eggs in this basket just off the fact that, like I said, R-Truth isn't taken seriously. And I feel like the crowd needs to be reminded that he can be taken seriously. Even if this is, one of R-Truth's last fucking years, because God knows he's been in the company for so long. I don't know how much longer he can actually go. Black don't crack, and we obviously see it with him. So I really do think that they're gonna go out there and they're gonna put a fucking showstopper of a fucking show. But like I said, I can be wrong. We can go out there, they're gonna have a fucking joke match, and then I'll be pissed. But I do think that based off how John Cena is now moving post Randy Orton, actually just within the Randy Orton match, I feel like John Cena is finally, kicking into gear. Whereas he was trying something, trying to maybe go as like a lazy heel for a bit. He sees that that's not working, and it's finally, time to kick it into gear, especially with an opponent like Randy Orton, where he actually did kick it into gear. So I feel like the next couple matches we get off of John Cena, they're going to be good. And I just personally think that this match is just, it's being so overlooked. Like you said, some people don't even fucking want this shit, that this is going to be a solid match. This is going to be a match that people will be talking about from this retirement tour.
No, I'm excited, man. You got me. You're selling me. I'm intrigued. It'll be a fun one. Um, and I'm happy for our truth. He gets to face his idol. He gets to face someone that he's even done the five knuckle show. He's inherited that move for John Cena, as big of a fan he is. So this is great for our truth. And again, it's a glorified house show. That's what they like to call it. But another match that will be taking place here at the Saturday night's main event. So now we've moved on from Backlash. At Saturday night's main event, which will be taking place May 24th, we get Jey Uso versus Logan Paul. You said it earlier, you think Jey Uso is going to take this match here. I'm intrigued. I'm excited. Logan hasn't been on TV much besides sucker punching Jey Uso after a episode of Monday Night Raw a few weeks ago. And so the match was made official then. But it's a Jey Uso match. Jey also just had a great match against Seth Rollins on Monday Night Raw for the World Heavyweight Championship. They put on they put on a fantastic match. I will say I do believe Seth carried probably the majority.
Mm.
I would I would say he probably carried because more often than not we see Seth have great matches than a great Jey Uso match. I'm just saying. There's a common denominator here. But they just recently had a match themselves that ended in the disqualification in a run in. Um, but that's also building to another match we'll talk about in a little bit. But Jey Uso versus Logan Paul here. Safe to say you have Jey Uso winning this.
Yeah, like I said, look, I don't want people to get the wrong idea. We like Jay. It's just this push feels forced. We do not agree with the Jay that's being pushed upon us right now. While Jay has great talent and that will be, showcased a lot more with a couple more years under his belt. I don't want people to think like, oh, we're just hating on Jey Uso. Do I think Jey Uso wins this match? Yes. Do I think he deserves to win this match? No, I don't even think he deserves to hold that fucking belt with those ugly ass fucking side plates too. Absolutely not. Would I want Logan Paul to win? Yes, I think Logan Paul versus Gunther would be a lot more compelling to see another fucking match between Jey and Gunther. But at the end of the day, they're hot on Jey right now. They're I don't know who the fuck they're listening to, because if you're really going off of fan reaction, if you're going off of merch sales, then you'd be pushing fucking Karrion Kross, not Jey Uso. But anyways, yeah, Jey is gonna win this match, sadly, and we're gonna get a fucking another Gunther versus Jey match, which sucks. But yeah, Jey wins this at the end of the night.
No, he definitely winning that bitch for sure. Logan Paul not gonna win. I'd be intrigued though. I'd be happy if I wouldn't, maybe not happy, but I'd be content with Logan Paul winning. Uh, but it should be a fun match. We'll see. Logan Paul always has some crazy spots. He's gonna put somebody through a table, the announce table that is. Somehow, I'm sure Jey Uso is gonna hit him with a spear too. That aren't the greatest looking spears. That might be called a crossbody if the wrong individual sees it. But anyways, moving on. Another match that has been announced that I'm really looking forward to. That we haven't gotten a chance to talk much about yet. This Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker relationship, and this Paul Heyman faction now over the course of the last couple of weeks. We've seen these individuals stake their claims on the Monday Night roster. They're currently feuding with CM Punk, Sami Zayn, and Jey Uso, Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker, that is. I we saw Seth we saw Seth beat Sammy. Braun Breaker spear Sammy a few weeks ago, put him out. And CM Punk was of course put out by Seth Rollins following WrestleMania at WrestleMania, and Braun Breaker as well at the Raw after Mania. So we already had these interactions. We know this is going to end up in some sort of turmoil, and it's been announced that we're going to get CM Punk and Sami Zayn versus Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker. But over the course of the last few weeks, we've had three baby faces, Jey Uso added to CM Punk and Sami Zayn versus Seth and Braun Breaker. So of course, there's going to be a third individual added to this faction here. Um, I wanted to ask you, do you have any idea, any guesses, or anybody you would want to see now that you've seen a few weeks of WW of television, and how these guys have interacted with each other, how the dynamic that they have amongst themselves? Is there anyone that you would like to see get placed in this faction with Seth and Braun?
I think the third man, because it's the proverbial third man that we've all been trying to speculate on who it's going to be. I feel like I said this, I think it was like 2 weeks ago, where it seems like they're building an Evolution 2.0 or an Evolution Light, a new iteration of Evolution some way, and that in Evolution, you had the legacy in Ric Flair, and I feel like you have the legacy here in Paul Heyman. You have that leader star in Seth Rollins, like you did with Triple H, and then you have the backup, the muscle in Braun Breaker, which kind of resembles the same muscle that Batista used to bring. So you kind of need that young kid, that kid that they see a future in, that can really become the next, aka legend killer, the next Randy Orton of the group. And
Mhm.
I've been giving this a lot of thought because I don't want to go with someone that's just immediately obvious, like you can go with some of the bigger stars and say, yeah, they'll be a good fit. But I really think that in Evolution, that was one of the pivotal points, the pivotal spots in the group that really, set Randy Orton apart. They gave this kid a chance and he just ran with it. And I feel like that's something that they need to do now. They really need to give a young talent, someone that's maybe new or new-ish, and put them in that position and just kind of work with them to bring him up to that kind of status. The two people that I have in mind, one of them I thought of, one of them, shouts out to Mark, aka Boyo. He was the other one that gave me this one, which I actually did like, because my original third person for this, I would have loved to see someone like a Carmelo Hayes in there, because I feel like Carmelo does deserve like a big position in this company. He came in hot his first match on the main roster was against Cody Rhodes. And as of recent, he won the Andre the Giant Battle Royale. So I feel like they're prepping him for something big. And if they would go in that direction of putting him in this faction to build him up, I wouldn't be mad at it. The person that Mark gave me was Austin Aries. Right, that's his name, Austin Aries. Am I getting that wrong?
Austin, Austin
Okay.
Theory.
Austin Aries is an ex WWE superstar. Austin Theory is another one of those guys that once, like we had the big Vince split, he was someone that kind of just got lost in the shuffle. He was one of the very last Vince guys. Vince was very hot on him, and I feel like once Vince left, he kind of just got lost in the shuffle. But he is one of those talents that is really good, even though he's been put in this kind of like gimmick comic, duo um with Waller. I feel like if you separate him, like we've seen that they've been trying to separate them for a bit, if you separate him, you stick him in something like this, the kid's money. You can push him to the top. Some of the fans are really into them. I know he's got a lot of heel heat, but you can get past that. So I would love to see some young talent like that, either a Carmelo Hayes or an Austin fill in that spot. I want to get your thoughts. It is something that we really haven't gotten to talk about. I have been enjoying this faction, whatever they're doing with it. I love Paulie. Seth, we said it before, anytime he gets on screen, he's an eye turner. You just need to watch and see. And Braun Breaker is that kid that we've been hyped on for the past like 2 years now, like year and a half. He's someone that we said multiple times, strap a rocket and just let this kid go. And I feel like putting him in this faction is going to be really good for him. And once they break up, he's just going to be a monster to deal with.
No, Braun Breaker is headed for a phenomenal career. In terms of the third man, I hear you on Austin Theory. I like it. Um, I wouldn't mind it at all. I think he'd be a solid fit. That's probably if I were a betting man, I'd probably bet on him, an individual on NXT that you don't enjoy. That could be it. He fits like but listen. Batista's a different animal. But in terms of the group, in terms of the dynamic, or maybe, let me not be disrespectful. But an individual that comes to mind that would fit in well here might be Ethan Page. Um, he's interesting to me. But Austin Theory, if between the two, I'm taking Austin. Between the two of them, I'm taking Austin. But streets are saying, bro. Streets are saying, and I'm getting a little nervous, bro. I'm getting a little nervous because there've been a couple hints that I don't like. And Triple H loves the camera angles, certain shots. Everything is always done on purpose. And if you paid attention the first night on the Raw after Mania, when Jey Uso was celebrating his championship win, and he was standing on the turnbuckle, he was raising the belt, he was looking at the crowd. Sami Zayn's music hit. He came out. And there were moments where Jay had his back to Sammy and he was lifting the belt. And Sammy was standing behind him ominously looking at his belt and it seemed almost like the camera angle had it to where Sammy might have turned heel. We talked about it. We brought it up. And I was like, no, there's no way. That'd be crazy. That'd be crazy. And it didn't happen then. But then this week on Monday Night Raw, there was a moment where Seth and Braun tried to attack. I believe it was Jay, or one of these motherfuckers, and Sami Zayn was out there. He grabbed a chair, and it was the angle where Seth Rollins had did the chair shot on the Shield, where he kind of took a step back behind Roman and Dean Ambrose, and Sammy kind of did the same thing here with his chair. And he took a step back, and there was a shot there where it looked like, oh shit, Sammy looking a little heelish here. And listen, man, I have a plan for Sammy, and this is not the fucking plan. But you said it earlier. I don't know what's going on, but they're in this phase where they're just turning motherfuckers heels for no reason. And the absolute last person, you already turned John Cena heel. You already pissed me off. What I don't need here is Sammy turning heel. But I have a feeling that something is going on there. And I'm intrigued to see what's gonna happen this week of Monday Night Raw. I'm intrigued what's gonna happen on this tag match between CM Punk and Sami Zayn versus Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker. Um, so I'm just nervous. I'm just nervous, but I would not be surprised if Sami Zayn would surprise us all and become the third man. If that were to be the case, if that were to be the case and we leave Saturday night's main event and it's Monday, May 26th, and it's been 24 hours and Sami Zayn has turned heel, how would you feel? How would you feel going into that episode of Monday Night Raw? Is that something that you would want to see with where Sami Zayn is currently at and what we've seen him do over the course of the last year or the last couple years? Is that something that you want to see out of Sami Zayn at this point?
I think a heel Sammy is compelling. I think I'm with you. I don't think this is the time to do it. It just doesn't make any fucking sense for them to do it. And like I said, I think it's better if you go with the younger talent, because you already have a young talent in Braun Breaker. So why not align another young talent with someone like a Seth Rollins, who is really at that point of his career where he's kind of hot the way that Triple H was hot when he was in Evolution. So I wouldn't like it if Sammy turned heel in this point. Will it happen? Maybe. Like you said, there's been a lot of teases, not even just recently, over the past couple months. Anytime Jay gets on that turnbuckle and he holds up that belt and Sammy's out there, it kind of seems like Sammy's going to take a shot at him. So who knows? Will it happen? I hope not, but there's a good chance that it will. Would I be happy if it makes sense? If you come out on Monday and you explain it and it makes sense, I'll be happy. But if you're gonna do this shit again, where it doesn't make any sense, where it's just something stupid like the Becky turn, then I don't really want it. And you had brought it up earlier. You said that people have been talking that maybe it's an Ethan Page. An Ethan Page over in Austin, I would take, just because even though I'm not the biggest fan of Ethan Page, he has shown me over the past couple months that his in-ring work is getting better. One example is the match versus Ricky Saints. I thoroughly enjoyed that. That also made me a fan of Ricky Saints. So I wouldn't be mad if it was Ethan Page. Plus, I feel like Ethan has done what he needs to do down in NXT. I don't really ever see him, holding any of the other belts there for way too long. So he is someone that could come in and just stir shit up on the main roster, and I'd be happy with that. But for Sammy, yeah, bro, I don't know. I just don't think that that's the move. You did say that you
I
had a
agree.
different plan for Sammy, though, so I would like to hear what your other plan for
Yes.
Sammy was.
Yes, this is my fucking plan. So listen, man. Sami Zayn already made his claim, bro. He already made his claim. He already made his claim. He said, "Look, Seth, I'm not no bitch. I'm not backing down. I'm not backing down from you because this is my home. I've been doing this for years and years, and I'm not gonna let you bitch me out." And I respect that. That's why we fuck with Sammy, because Sammy's a real one. And so Sammy a babyface, super babyface. This is why they can't do this. Also, you're running out. You're running out of baby faces. So stop. Um, so what I need to happen is Sami Zayn have this ultimate arc throughout this whole year where he goes on, he has to go face Seth, he has to go face Braun Breaker, um, and the third individual, and whoever the fuck else he has to defeat. He has to go to the Elimination Chamber to the Royal Rumble, and my plan would be for Sami Zayn to win the Royal Rumble, to win the Rumble, and then he goes on to select Seth Rollins at WrestleMania 42, right? That's where we're at, 42,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'm not
Yeah,
tripping.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
42. Goes on to face Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship. That's what I would love to see. I think Sammy, we saw him win the Intercontinental from Gunther. What a wonderful moment it was at WrestleMania 39, at WrestleMania 40. We saw him win the tag belts at WrestleMania 39 with Kevin Owens. So he's been slowly building and building and building. And I think 42 is the one where Sami Zayn goes over and he becomes the World Heavyweight Championship for the first World Heavyweight Champion for the first time in his career. Following all that has happened over the course of the last 5 years, 4 years with Sami, the bloodline, the Kevin Owens, and just everything and so on and so forth, and for it to end in that sense, I think that would be amazing. Like Sami Zayn, bro, the people love Sami Zayn. They fucking love Sami Zayn. I don't know if you remember, but Elimination Chamber 2023, when he was facing Roman, there people really thought, they were like, nah, Sammy should be the one to dethrone this 1400-day reign because he was so goddamn over. Like, that was an argument that people were making. When he showed up in Montreal on that episode of SmackDown before that Elimination Chamber, he got like a 10-minute standing ovation. Like, the crowd did not stop singing his song. I whenever I need to pick me up, motherfucker, I go watch that video. 'Cause that shit is great. That shit is fantastic. But that's what I would love to see for Sammy. Keep him away. Keep him the furthest away from anything that would involve him turning heel. Please, please. But that's what I would love to see for him. I don't know if you think that's realistic, if you would agree with that sentiment of Sammy becoming a world champion. But I think, man, like, dude, anytime he gets on the TV, he's like a Jacob Fatu, where anytime he gets on the TV, you're listening, you're intrigued. He makes you feel something. He makes you feel something. You care. You care about Sami Zayn because not that he's an ordinary guy, but he's so relatable,
Hmm.
and just fantastic. So that's how I feel about it, man. I would love for him to go on to 42, have this year of ascension, and have it culminate in him becoming the world heavyweight champion. But want to hear your thoughts on that. I'm fantasy booking.
I'm not mad at it. Like I said, I think Sammy is in the position right now where I think they think Jay is. So if you can create the storyline and make me care, because it is Sammy, and like you said, he is relatable. He's kind of like the dad of WWE, so you do care. You don't want to see someone like that go heel. So the way that you're booking it makes it a lot better. Like I said, he's in that position that I think that they think Jay is in. So if you switch it over, you make it about Sammy, and you go through that storyline, I feel like he's very deserving of a title shot, if not even just winning the whole thing, like you said. I think that he's put in the work. He knows his way around the company. He knows when he has to give a solid performance and when he doesn't. Sammy's just that kind of guy that at this point in his career, if you want to strap a belt on him, I'm not going to be mad at it. And you have said he's done baby steps. He won the IC belt, he's won the tag belts. Now it's time for him to go on to the next one. And he is someone that has always kind of been overlooked. He's always been a background player for something else. So it would be nice to see him, this year come into his own and finally win that big one next year at WrestleMania, like you said. So I'm not mad at it. I would love for something like that to happen over him going heel, because like I said, he is that relatable guy. He's one of us. He's the dad of the WWE. I don't want to see him go heel. The thing with John Cena was that that's what everybody wanted for a long time, so I understand why they decided to pull the trigger. Was it the right decision? Maybe not. Like you said, you don't like it, so it probably wasn't the right decision. So I don't think that doubling down and doing that shit to Sammy would be the right decision either. So I would love to see Sammy stay as a babyface, and if that means he wins the belt next year at WrestleMania, I'm cool with that.
I would love that for him, and I hope that's the case. I hope that's the case. But another match that I want to talk about here, final match that is just rumored. That is just rumored, but we talked about it. We thought this might have been the case at WrestleMania, but earlier in the night where we were talking about Randy Orton RKOing all those individuals, those security guards, there was one individual in there that he RKO'd again for the third time on WWE television, and that man is, of course, our general manager for the SmackDown, Friday Night SmackDown, that is. He RKO'd Nick Aldis. And so there were gonna be some repercussions to be had. There haven't been any announcements yet. Nick Aldis is yet to show on TV because we haven't had an episode of SmackDown since Backlash. But I am sure, I am certain, I am positive Nick Aldis will not be happy about that third RKO he just took. There will be repercussions, and the streets are saying PW Insider, Pro Wrestling Insider, has reported that Randy Orton and Nick Aldis is penciled in for SummerSlam. We didn't get it at WrestleMania, but now we know. SummerSlam is being moved to 2 nights now. It's no longer just a one-night show. They're doing the WrestleMania thing where they're turning it into 2 nights. Um, so they got to stack that card too. I'm intrigued. I would love to. I've never seen Nick Aldis wrestle beside the All In match against Cody Rhodes. Besides that, I've never seen Nick Aldis wrestle. So I would like to see it. I would like to see what he has in store. And Randy Orton is Randy Orton. He's gonna put on a show regardless of who he's in the ring with. But now that we know, or we could 80% sure that it's gonna happen. Are you looking forward to Randy Orton versus Nick Aldis and what will hopefully take place at SummerSlam? And I don't think we've had the opportunity to talk about this, but I just mentioned it. SummerSlam now being moved to 2 nights instead of just the one. Any thoughts on that as well?
SummerSlam being 2 nights, I feel like SummerSlam is one of those events like a WrestleMania that can, I guess, benefit from a 2 night spread, just because sometimes you don't have enough time to kind of give everybody that match to shine when it's only one night. So spreading it over, not only does it not burn us out as fans watching so much wrestling, because I remember coming from the days where fucking, WrestleManias were like 8 hours long. Sitting through those were a fucking chore. So if they want to split up two nights, I'm fine with that. That means we're not gonna get burnt out, and we're gonna give the boys and the girls enough time to do their thing and hopefully impress us over the night. Especially because SummerSlam is one of the big three. So 2 nights, I'm not mad at it. With Aldis and Randy Orton, Aldis, this is 3 times, brother. This is the third time, if not the fourth time. You need to do something about this. And I am kind of a little bit excited. Like you said, I'm not someone that's watched Nick Aldis a whole lot. I didn't even watch the AEW match that you had mentioned. My buddy Chris has told me that he, ran the shit down in NWA. So he's very excited to see him get in the ring at least one more time. So that makes me excited, especially when it's someone like Randy Orton, because whenever you get put against Randy Orton, no matter who you are, you want to give 110% because you know he is. You know that he's gonna bring down the house no matter what the fuck he does, and you have to be on his level. So I am excited to see all this versus Randy Orton if that gets made official. If it's for SummerSlam, I think that's a little bit better because you give it enough time to build. You can give all this cutting a promo backstage or something, or Randy Orton calling him out and cutting a promo. We have some time to build that up if we go towards SummerSlam. If this is going to be something that's sneakily snuck in for Saturday night's main event, I think it won't do it justice. I feel like this deserves a little bit of a build up. So, am I excited? Yes. I'm excited just to see how all this comes back. I mentioned this a couple weeks ago, but AEW did the same thing where they let one of their benched commentators come back and have like a retirement style match, or like one
Oh,
final good
Nigel
fairway.
McGuinness.
Yes, Nigel
Hmm.
McGuinness. And I feel like all this deserves that. If all this is not going to jump back in the ring, if he thinks that his career is over and he prefers being in the general manager position, if this is one final goodbye, if this is his curtain call, then fuck it. Who better to have it against than Randy Orton? And he's not going to win. And typically when it's a curtain call, the person that's curtain are being drawn, that person loses. So I am hyped. I am hyped. I hope this happens at SummerSlam. Are you hyped for this? Do you think that Aldis has any chance of winning this match? Actually,
No, I think Nick Aldis is definitely gonna probably 100% lose here. I mean, that'd be crazy disrespectful. Motherfucker ain't wrestled in 5 years. You come out and you beat Randy Orton. Like, nah, that just can't happen. No buddy, no sir. So unfortunately for Nick Aldis, he's gonna definitely take a RKO. Might take a punt kick here in his retirement match, but he gonna take this L. That's definitely what he gonna take. But I would be happy to see him wrestle. I'm excited for it. Again, I've only watched the one match. I'm intrigued, and Randy's gonna put on a good show. It's gonna be a fun one. SummerSlam being 2 nights, I have a little bit of a problem with because now we're just being greedy. Now we're just being greedy, and this is and I'm starting to get upset. I'm starting to get
Mhm.
upset. Like let's not lose the plot here. Let's not lose the fucking plot. But we knew this was gonna happen when you had the TKO merger, and this was no longer a family owned business. So when it became a corporation, um, you knew this was going to start to happen, and this just happens to be the case. And Cardi B has already been announced to be the host of SummerSlam. I don't know what the fuck Cardi B gonna have to tell me about SummerSlam, but whatever. And so now we're here. Now we're here. We're in the day and age where Travis Scott is showing up at WrestleMania 41. Not even at WrestleMania 41, the main event of WrestleMania 41, in Las Vegas to interfere in the main event of WrestleMania 41, night two, with the greatest superstar of all time, John Cena, to help him win the match. That is the point of where we're at. We're there because of corporate greed. We're there because of corporate greed. You can argue with the wall, but you're not gonna argue with me. We are here because of corporate greed, and that is not what I want to see. And we're only gonna get this sort of shit moving forward even more. And I'm nervous. I'm nervous. I'm nervous. But I'm gonna keep watching until shit hits the fan. But I don't know, man. I don't know. Um, but I don't think it had to be 2 nights. Like, WrestleMania being 2 nights, cool. But now we know, are you gonna make it the Royal Rumble 2 nights? Now the Women's Royal Rumble is 1 night, the men's is the other, like, where does it stop? So and people are gonna buy it, people are gonna buy it. One thing about motherfuckers, they gonna purchase the shit, they gonna consume the shit. So whenever people run out of money, I guess that's when the WWE will reevaluate. But right now, it don't look like people are running out of money. But that just doesn't happen to be the case with what we're seeing in the news. But anyways, that's a conversation for a different day. All in all, know we talked a little bit about Backlash. Know we talked a little bit about this upcoming Saturday night's main event. But for Backlash, looking back at it, out of 5 stars, what would you rate it? And then just let me know what your favorite match here was. And yeah, what would you give this out of 5 stars and your favorite match of the night of Backlash 2025?
I would say that just based off the fact, I mean, this is a hard pay per view to pull off, just because you're coming off the heels of WrestleMania and you're going straight into the setup for Money in the Bank, which is, two of the biggest pay per views of the year. So making this make sense, be fun, be entertaining is a little hard, especially with the amount of buildup that we were given. There was, I think I even told you this before it started. There wasn't even enough buildup for me to even think that this was happening so soon. I thought Backlash was a couple weeks away, and then out of nowhere, it was on Saturday. So just off of that, the lack of buildup, the lack of kind of attention that they typically give these matches going in to build them up, I would say I'm just gonna give it a 3.5. As for my favorite match, I would have to say it was the John and Randy match. I think that's just a personal bias because, it is one of the last times that we're going to get to see, if not the last time that we'll get to see Randy Orton versus John Cena. And that just, while it does make me happy because I got to see two of, my favorite wrestlers wrestle one last time, it makes me sad because this is just another notch that is being ticked off of John Cena's retirement tour. We don't have too many of these appearances / matches left. So I want to make sure that he makes all of them count. I know that right now his whole gimmick is I don't care about you, but I know that deep down inside, business wise, they do care and they do want to make sure that John Cena goes out in a spectacular way. So that was my favorite match of the night. I want to know what you gave it. I want to know what your favorite match was. I want to know where do you think we go from here? Do you think that Saturday night's main event will build up towards the next pay per view, which I'm pretty sure it's the Money in the Bank, or do you think that that's just a kind of like a road stop in between both of these pay per views?
Yeah, Backlash 2025. I give this shit probably a 3.75 out of 5.
Okay.
I really enjoyed the Jacob Fatu. I really enjoyed Lyra's match, Becky's match, Jacob Fatu's match, and the John Cena match. And the Penta match was cool. Dom match was cool. Gunther, fuck no, whatever. Um, but yeah, I give it a 3.75. What was crazy to me as well was the Jacob Fatu match, the John Cena match, and the Dominic match all ended with outside interference. That's an interesting decision. I feel like we're getting a lot of that these days. There's no solidified ending to a match or a main event match. It's a lot of run-ins, a lot of fucking run-ins in main events, a lot of disqualifications, and sometimes that shit just gets tiresome. Like motherfuckers can lose a match and take a pin, but anyways, that's just something that I wanted to make note of. And in terms of next steps, where do we go from here? Saturday night's main event again just feels like a glorified house show. The only thing that I think that's going to build out of that, probably most likely, is going to be the CM Punk, Sami Zayn, Seth Rollins, Braun Breaker match, and how the fallout from that. That's going to affect what goes on over the course of the next couple of months. We might get a Money in the Bank match with some of these individuals, maybe Sammy versus Braun, or something along those lines. But I think that's probably going to be the only match that continues to move forward or has a story beyond Saturday night's main event. And then the John Cena R-Truth is the only thing that's been announced so far, as well as Jey Uso and Logan Paul. So we only got 3 out of the 5, if I'm not mistaken. Um, there's 2 matches to be had. The next pay-per-view after that, which is 2 weeks after Saturday night's main event, is the Money in the Bank. And we haven't had any qualifying matches just yet. Makes me a little bit nervous, but they have announced that that's going to start this Monday on Raw. So we'll start to see those matches take place. And we'll get into that next on this next episode of the Word Around the Ring podcast of who we think who would we like to see in that Money in the Bank ladder match, our 6 picks, and where we go from there. So a lot to look forward to as we head into the summer here. Um, but with that being said, that concludes this week's episode of the Word Around the Ring podcast, brought to you by, of course, none other than Pizza Neo, your local Las Vegas East Side Barrio Pizza pop-up shop. Make sure you follow them on all social platforms, including Instagram at Pizza Neo Pizza. Again, that is at Pizza Neo Pizza. But thank you all for listening to this week's episode of the Word Around the Ring podcast. If you haven't already, please make sure to like, subscribe, and follow us across all our social media platforms, including Instagram, X, and TikTok. We will see you all next week. Thank you all for your time.